Boltor. And first, before I get into this deck discussion, which is going to be one of the Pioneer decks from the recent Pioneer Invitational, which ECAP won without losing a single game. A few announcements, real quick. First, this is my first video recording with the new Antlion microphone that I got, the one from my previous video, the one that I said was free and I got as kind of a promotional thing. Really enjoying it. It sounds really good from what I can tell. I tested it out on Fuzz's stream last night and everything sounded really good, so those of you who were there said it was a vast improvement to my Snowball. But the other thing I wanted to announce, and I just saw this, so Saturday Conquest is going to be a new tournament format, as I assume it's going to be every week, so every Saturday. And I was like, oh, Conquest format, that's different. It's 2 tickets or 35,000 gold, so it's twice the entry as like the Friday nights and everything. But you know, I was like, what do we got for prizes? Well, 3 points, meaning you win 3 rounds, gets you 8 packs, which is really good. But 4 points, it's kind of hard to see because of how small the text is. But that says 20 normal packs and the Noxious promo back, which, you know, so many people are like, oh, I wish I had gotten it. I need that card back. So, hey, now you have a chance to win it. All you got to do is win a conquest tournament. Not exactly easy, but hey, it just makes the card back all the more worth it, or, you know, worth something. Anyway, so this tournament, or this deck, comes to us from AKAWonder, who is one of the last-minute replacements, I believe, of the Spellweaver Pioneer tournament. And what jumped out at me about this deck is you'll notice it's 3 aspects: Wisdom, Dominion, and Corruption. Now, I wanted to work on one. I've been trying to make one of these work efficiently since basically I started playing Spellweaver. Those of you who come from a Magic the Gathering background will find this deck very familiar. It works very, very much like a Magic control deck. And it shows because, as I understand it, AKAWonder has experience in Magic. So, and I played this deck a lot for the past couple of days. I've played it against Fuzz, and I've played it in some other playtesting things, and it is really fun. The only issue is it does have a bit of a struggle against aggro decks, and it can kind of have some really weird openers, like, and which I'll explain in a second. So first things first, we'll talk about the Wisdom, then we'll talk about the Dominion, then we'll talk about the Corruption. So first, we've got New Horizons. There's only 2 of them. You'll notice that pretty much there's a lot of 2-ofs in this deck. It's pretty much every spell is a 2-of. But in New Horizons, basically it's your ramp. Ideally, this deck runs well on a 1 Wisdom, 1 Dominion, and double Corruption for your levels, which you'll see why in a minute. And so this is basically your mana fixing. It searches out a card or whatnot. But then you've got Obelisk of Unity, which used to see all kinds of play, and then as soon as it was made legendary, never saw play again. But this card, if you can get it out early, like on turn 1 or 2, you're set, because there's so little artifact removal, and you know, the artifact removal we have, people aren't really playing, except the very few decks that actually play Gnome Power Engineer. You know, Obelisk of Unity is going to stick around, and because of that, you don't need to invest in levels so much, because you can change your Wisdom level to Dominion or Corruption, you know what I mean? So it's a really interesting idea, and the way the deck wins is basically by outvaluing your opponent. You flood the board with golems or zombies. Against control decks, you turn their own spells against them with Bloodwell Matriarch, which was like the MVP in the Wisdom Corruption control matchup. Because of the amount of corruption you play, you can actually turn their Consumed Spirits and their Word of Pains back at them. And yeah, I mean, you just try and play value cards like Library Guards, Blood-Seeking You, and it does play 1 Karthos, which I always thought was kind of interesting. It's not your traditional play 2-of or 3-of or whatnot, just 1, just a single copy. He doesn't really come up a lot. I don't draw him all that much. But when he does come up, he's actually pretty strong. So, anyway, so, you know, just draw engine, mana fixing, and Foundry Engineers for the Wisdom. Going into Dominion, you've got the Removal and Assassinate and Devious Plot, which I'm going to talk about Devious Plot again in a minute. You've got obviously Wind-Seeking Mutant, which is just good. Cataclysm for board wipes. You've got Bloodwell Matriarch to kill off control decks, and of course the Karthus I talked about earlier. But Devious Plot is one card in the deck I'm just not entirely sold on. You know, I am tweaking the deck in another build of it, but right now I wanted to keep it the exact same list, which you can see on the screen if OBS is working right. And I wanted to keep it the exact same list because that's what AKAWonder did. This is his list. I don't want to change it. But at the end of the video, I will talk about what the changes I have made. So then we'll move into the corruption. Obviously, Noxious Fumes, Consume Spirit, some of the best early game removal, and Consume Spirit obviously helps you to just, you know, trade up, especially since you can easily go. You want to hit double corruption for Sanctum of the Void and Tombs of the Damned. You can easily go 3 corruption with Obelisk of Unity. So, you know, Consume Spirit becomes really good. Infected Survivor also for, you know, early game or anti-aggro kind of stuff. Blood Witch Harpy because it basically just destroys elves, you know. Tombs of the Damned, as I said before, kind of one of your win conditions. Just overwhelm your opponent with dudes and everything. And the Shrine layout is pretty well straightforward. Very limited on the Dominion, but that's because the only thing you need double Dominion for is Karthus and Cataclysm. And as long as you have an Obelisk, you're set. You shouldn't need a second Dominion level. So you're playing Cathedral of Night for its hero power, and obviously Sanctum of the Void for its hero power. And speaking of hero powers, I did want to talk a little bit about the hero choice. Now, in my games, I played, you know, Nephiros, Necromantic Prince, the Reanimate ability. It was really useful in some matchups, but in other matchups, I was just sitting there like, there's nothing I can do with it. So I am going to be tinkering with using both basic and advanced Darius in place of Nephiros, which you can experiment too if you want to try this deck. The other thing I would change about the deck, I mean, other than the hero, which Fuzz and I talked a lot about, I mean, I really do want more card draw in the deck, so, you know, because all you really play is Ancient Wisdom. Yeah, you've got the card draw and Library Guards and Obelisk of Unity, but that's kind of it. You know what I mean? There were times where I was down to like 2-3 cards in hand and it didn't feel good. Maybe having the extra card draw from Darius would be a vast improvement. Now, the last card I wanted to talk about was Devious Plot. Now, I kind of understand this card. It's raw, hard removal. You know what I mean? It's hard removal that kills anything. As long as you have a creature to sacrifice, it kills anything, which is rare in Spellweaver. It really is. The ability to just kill anything without any kind of stipulation, like it has to be this attack, or you know what I mean? But I'm not 100% sold on the card. I used it very, very sparingly, even though I drew it a lot. It just didn't seem like a good time to actually play it. So I might like trade out the Devious Plot for maybe another Noxious Fumes or another Consumed Spirit, or maybe just another Ancient Wisdom. Again, those of you who have played Magic and played control decks know that the shell of a control deck is pretty much the same, but there are slots in control decks where you can interchange, you know, for personal preference, and that, you know, that extends to games like Hearthstone as well. But in a deck like this, there is a little bit of wiggle room. Maybe you don't play 4 Blood-Seeking Mutants. Maybe if you're finding yourselves up against elves a lot, maybe you play that 4th Blood Witch Harpy instead. You know, there is a little bit of like change here, tweak here, things that can be done to make it personal preference. The deck has been working fine with me. It does have trouble against Hermelian Path elves. Regular elves, it seems fine. I mean, sometimes Hermelian just goes dirt by win, but it happens. But it doesn't have any answer to Path of Transcendence, and that's an issue. But then again, not a lot of decks have an answer to Path of Transcendence, so what can you do? And like I said, the issue with this deck is sometimes you just get off to some really wonky starts, like maybe you just don't draw any of your opener stuff. I had a hand at one point that was like Cataclysm, Karthus, Tombs, Sanctum. It was just not a good opener, but that's not exactly the deck's fault. That's just something that happens in TCGs. And when you play this deck, you always keep an opening hand with Obelisk Unity and a Wisdom Shrine to play it. You know what I mean? Because getting this card, Obelisk Unity, out, not only does it actually draw you a card and cycle out of your hand, but it just works so well. And I've loved Obelisk Unity. I used to play Rainbow decks back when you could play Rainbow decks, and so yeah, I'm really enjoying this deck, guys. I hope you enjoy it too. I hope you like I tried it, and I think it's gonna work. There's the written deck list is on the side of the screen. I am kind of learning more about OBS and how to tinker with adding more things to my videos, like a webcam. I didn't do a webcam today because I didn't think you guys wanted to sit there and watch me just stare at the screen while I talked. So that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy the deck. I certainly think the deck is fun. Don't get me wrong. It's not maybe the best deck, but it is really fun. I'm really enjoying playing it. So I hope the mic worked out fine for everyone. I hope the deck works out fine for everyone, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And as always, may the cards rise to meet you and bring good RNG to your enemies' enemies.